Hi, y'all. Welcome. Welcome to the 2023 Community Builders Grant Info Session. My name is Ray Tang, and I'm one of the grant co-managers, along with Connor Smith, who is going to be teching this stream. So a round of applause for Connor. Cool. So my name is Ray Tang. I am also the Client Relations and Marketing Associate at Camera Ambassador. And outside of Camera Ambassador, I'm also a filmmaker and an improviser. Cool. So let's jump right in. So about Camera Ambassador. So Camera Ambassador, which is we're sponsoring the grant. We were founded in 2014 by Erica Duffy, and we're one of the only 3 equipment rental houses nationwide owned and operated by a woman. Erica's vision was to create a vibrant community of artists by providing high quality film equipment and top-notch service paired with genuine support of the productions. So Camera Ambassador is a one-stop shop. That means we carry everything from camera, the lenses, the grip trucks, and production supplies. Our equipment roster includes high-end brands like ARRI, Red, Canon, Cooke, Zeiss, and we got you covered with specialty items like anamorphic lenses, gimbals, and grip trucks. So while supporting clients through equipment rentals, and that is our main focus, Camera Ambassador is much more than that. We offer workshops, we offer feedback sessions, host screenings, promote filmmakers on our blog and Instagram and social media. We provide internships, and we fund the annual Community Builders Grant, which is one of my favorite parts of working here, is being able to support the community and give a little something back. So about the grant. The Community Builders Grant is a short-form film fund and production resources grant sponsored by Camera Ambassador. So our mission is really to elevate local productions by arming filmmakers with the necessary tools to create. And so this grant kind of supports people from all kinds of experiences, both from accomplished artists, as well as to provide opportunities for young and emerging creatives. So this grant also aims to build bridges within our community by activating local filmmakers to apply, engaging community leaders who act as the judges for the first round. And finally, we invite the community for our pitch session, where the attendees actually determine the final grant rankings between the finalists. So this grant is designed for filmmakers with a developed script, budget, and production plan that need support to bring their project into principal photography phase and then to film completion. So really, we're looking for projects that are a little bit later along in their pre-production phase and are getting ready to shoot and need that extra boost. So our timeline, our applications have opened yesterday, yay, and they are currently on our website. If you go to the Camera Ambassador page, under one of the tabs, under the More tab is the Community Builders Grant tab, and you'll be able to see more information there. So we open there, and then our submissions actually close on the 31st. Sorry, 35th is not a date. And then our 3 finalists out of that pool is going to be chosen by our community judges, as well as our internal team. And that process will be completed and will be announced to the public on May 1st. So 3 finalists will be announced. And that's when they're going to get ready for their own pitch decks and to get ready for the live pitch event, where all 3 finalists are going to present their project in front of the large public and be able to have their projects judged by the entire audience. So on May 18th, that's the event. Save your calendars. It's going to be really fun. And finally, the winner is going to be announced on May 19th. So eligibility, who actually qualifies for this grant? The majority of your grant must be shot in the Midwest. We're really looking to build local community, so that makes sense. Your final project must be 15 minutes or under in length. So generally a rule of thumb is with typical screenwriting format, it's designed so that way 1 page is about 1 minute. So ideally it should be 15 pages or less. However, we do recognize that most scripts are not perfect by any means in terms of the science of it. So, if your script is like 18 pages, but you still think it's going to qualify for that 15-minute length, then by all means, please submit. You must be at least 18 years old by March 31st, 2023, and you must be a working artist with at least 2 years of professional experience. So professional experience, we're thinking on-set experience, thinking production experience, or if have helped produce a film, stuff like that. Cool, so how to apply. So this part's a little bit, if you've applied in previous years, this part is important to take note that we are changing up our system this year. So in previous years, we've been using Film Freeway to apply. But now we're actually going to be accepting on our Google form, which you can access directly on our website. So our website is going to have all the information you need, everything that we've covered on these slides will be right there, along with the really in-depth facts and questions FAQ section. So yeah, if you go to our website, there will be the Google form and you'll be able to apply there. Applications, as we've mentioned before, have opened on March 1st, which was yesterday, and they must be submitted by 11:59 CT on March 31st, 2023. And something I want to note about that too is that we highly recommend getting in actually earlier, because quite often we get a lot of technical difficulties and a lot of emails of scared filmmakers at 11:58 p.m. So, try your best to be prepared, try your best to get it in earlier so that way you don't find yourself in that really sticky situation, because we will not be accepting after that time. All right, so your application components, what actually are you applying with? So the application this year is going to require 4 major assets. It's going to be your script or treatment, so whatever describes your story, a budget. Our rule of thumb is just be as thorough as you can. You can't be too thorough. It's helpful to just remember, expenses like insurance and stuff you might not account for with contingencies, stuff like that. Thirdly, we're going to be requiring a pitch deck this year. So your pitch deck should at minimum include your log line, your themes, your characters, your story world, your comparable projects, your current cast crew bios with Instagram handles and photographs, tentative production plan, distribution plan, and any other fun or unique aspects of your project. So with your pitch deck, I like to think of it as the place where you can really make it your own, kind of show what kind of aesthetic you're going for, really, make your project come alive in that pitch deck. And then finally, with your application questions, there's going to be a whole bunch of them that we're going to be covering soon. But one thing to note before we do that is that all 4 of these assets are going to be separate PDF files, and they're going to be uploaded directly onto our form. So when you do that, please format the file name with your name first, and then the asset type. So for example, John Smith, script, -script. You get it. Great, so let's move on to the application questions. All right, cool. So application questions, we have 8. So the first one is just a brief project description. Provide the title, genre, log line, and brief description. So please note with these max, the words max, we're not saying like you definitely have to be at that number. We're just saying that if you feel like you have a lot to talk about in that section, then go for it. But obviously, if you're under the max and you're not providing that much information, we just don't want you to feel pressure either way of like saying too little or saying too much. Say however much you feel is right for your piece. Question 2 is going to be influences in previous work. So as an artist, what are the influences that shape your work? This could include art movements, other artists' work, cultural heritage, research from outside your field, and any other relevant influences. What are some experiences from previous projects that have helped inform your approach? Please give examples. And then the third question is about originality and innovation. Share any intention and approaches you're taking with your story and project. What sets that approach apart from the others? And is there anything that makes that unique? Number 4 is grant alignment. So I like to think of it as the why the CBG, why the Community Builders Grant. So why do you believe that your project would be a good fit for the grant? All right, number 5 is production logistics. This is your place to get into the real nitty gritty. So how many days of shooting will be required? Do you know if you're going to be shooting consecutive days? Are they going to be broken up by weekends? How many locations are you going to be requiring? Sorry. How many locations are you going to be requiring for your project? And have you secured them? If not, how are you planning on, getting the locations? So these logistical considerations, this is really your place to shine and be able to, put the nitty gritty, all the details that you're looking for in your filmmaking process. The fundraising goal and plan. So I like to think of this as sort of like, now that we've seen your budget, how are you planning on executing and getting the money for it? So what is the total amount of funding you seek for this project? And what steps are you going to be taking to raise additional funds other than the grant? How much of the total funding goal have you already secured? All right, number 7 is desired impact and target audiences. So what type of impact do you hope your project will have, whether it's artistic, intellectual, educational, communal, or just, pure entertainment? That's okay too. And which specific audiences and communities do you hope to engage or inspire through your project? And how do you plan to reach them? And number 8 kind of ties into that. So it's a distribution plan and goals. So what is your distribution plan for your film? And if the festival circuit is part of your plan, then which 3 festivals do you think would be a good fit for your film and why? So with this question, we're really encouraging you to kind of think outside the box of like, hey, like, like while we all might want to like go have our films play at Sundance, and if you want to put down Sundance, that's fantastic. I'm not knocking on Sundance. I just mean that's like a very easy go-to answer. Um, while we all want to have our films played at Sundance, maybe your film is specifically has LGBTQ themes, and therefore it makes more sense for it to play somewhere like Outfest or Newfest. It'd be helpful to like think and be intentional with your festival plan as much as you can for why those festivals fit your film. Just to show us that you're being intentional with your approach in distribution. And then finally, outside of the festival circuit, do you have any other goals or aspirations for your film? Like maybe you want to have like a communal screening, or you want to be partnering with a local organization, I think this is really the place where you could put down your concrete distribution plan goals. Cool. With that, I would like to open the floor to any questions that people might have. And while we're waiting for questions to come in, I've just realized we hadn't mentioned the prizes this year. So the prizes are actually also going to be a little different from last year's. Last year, we had 3 finalists, and then those finalists, the actual winner was able to receive a prize. This year, we are able to award all 3 finalists with prizes. So specifically, it's going to be the grand prize, the winner will take home $6,000 in cash and $6,000 in gear credit. Second place will be taking $3,000 cash and $3,000 gear credit. And then third place will be taking $1,000 cash and $1,000 gear credit. Again, that's going to be all judged off of the 3 finalists based on the, oh my God, what's the word? Based on the audience voting in our actual live pitch event. Someone has applied and been a finalist in the past. Can they apply again? That would be my boss, Erica Duffy. And I actually am not sure. I think we would have to talk internally within the team. Great question, Erica. Cool. If you got any questions. Are documentary projects accepted? Yes, 100%. Documentary projects are definitely accepted. Instead of a script, just submit a treatment. But all the other steps should be the same. Yeah, budget, pitch deck, and what's the last one? Oh, application questions. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it, Anna. Thank you, Erica. Erica Duffy is the founder and CEO of Camera Ambassador. So she's just answering the question of if finalists can apply. Yes, they can apply again if they've been a finalist in the past, and we encourage them to. Great. I learned something new every day. Thank you. Cool. While we're waiting for more questions to roll in, we actually do have an FAQ, which I'm happy to cover as well. Oh, okay. For particularly strong applications that you've had in the past, what was it that made them stand out? Well, I think, and this is probably very cliche because I think it's across the board for all grants, but I think the story and the actual, like what the story is, what the actual project is, like about, I feel like that's what really sets a project apart. In at least previous year, that's definitely what it felt like, as well as I think another piece of it is just to, I think that budget piece is also very important. Our judges really do look for feasibility and really like, with the budget, I think it's easy to tell if budget isn't as well thought out or not, because the judges are mostly filmmakers as well, so they have had the experience of making their films, they've had the experience of budgeting out, so they kind of do have that previous knowledge going in, and they can kind of pick apart and recognize if a budget feels unreasonable or if it feels kind of not feasible. So I would say those 2 pieces for me stand out. I think we have a grant blog article that's going to be coming out, I believe, next week. Don't quote me on that, but we will be posting the advice from previous judges, previous grant winners, and they will be covering more in depth for what specifically makes a strong proposal. Thank you for asking, Willis. Are genre pieces accepted? Yes, genre pieces are accepted. Please submit them. Those sound fun to read. Um, can you share with us the judging rubric? I believe the judging rubric is on the website. Which I'm happy to discuss. I'm just going to pull it up on my little iPad over here. So one moment, y'all. Yep, so if you go in the FAQ section, so we've split it up on the website between the requirements, so the eligibility, the judging process itself, as well as the application. So the judging rubric is going to be split across 4 categories. Oh, sorry, 5 categories. I cannot count, apparently. So the application section, specifically the questions are, how much effort and time is shown by the materials presented? And again, the judging rubric is going to be the rubric that we hand the judges. So that way they're going to be scoring, I believe, from a scale from 1 to 10 for how strongly they feel about a project is scoring in each section. And then they're going to be able to, we're going to be able to conglomerate that score, and that's how we determine who are the final candidates. So application, the questions are going to be, how much effort and time is shown by the materials presented? I think that goes to the budget example I had made earlier, where, you know, these seasoned producers who are going to be reviewing your scripts and reviewing your applications, they kind of have that awareness of what strong materials look like. And, you know, if you put in the time and the effort. Okay, so another question for the application section is, how much does the project resonate with you? And for the creative section, it's how original is the script or is this project, and how strong is the story? We're looking for character development, story arc, pacing, and relatability, which I think is relevant across the board for either documentary, narrative, etc. And for production, how producible is this application? Again, the feasibility component is really important to us. We want to make sure that the filmmaker who is awarded all this resources are able to execute. How confident do you feel about the artist's ability to execute their vision? Again, I think that really you're able to show that piece really through how much intentionality and how thorough you are with each piece of media that you're going to submit. For the budget, does this budget accurately represent what would it cost to make the scripts? And does the budget thoroughly include everything that the project will need? Example is if there are any blind spots, you know, like if there's no contingency, for example. And if there's no consideration to insurance would be another example. And then finally, the 5th category is distribution. So how strong is the distribution plan, and how intentional is the filmmaker being in planning their desired impact? So again, this is all on the website. We want this process to be as transparent as possible. The judges will be handed each rubric, and they will be grading you on 5 sections: the application itself, the creative component, the production, the budget, and the distribution. And off of that, we will be conglomerating a score. Sorry. Thanks for the question, Erica. Do all crew members need to be Midwest/Chicago residents? Interesting question. So it is my understanding that all the crew members don't necessarily. Actually, that's a really good question. So the production must take place in Chicago, or not Chicago, in the Midwest. The production itself has to, you know, at least the majority of the script has to be shot here. As for the crew members, that's a good question. I think I'm going to take that back to our internal team, and we're going to figure that out. Thanks for asking. Oh, and if you see me looking off screen, I am looking at an iPad that's with all the information. I swear I am still engaged. Okay, so also going off of this question, for the Midwest, we consider the Midwest based on the Census Bureau's definition. So, hold on. Only the projects have to shoot in the Midwest. Residency status is not considered. Thank you, either Connor or Erica, for answering that question. I appreciate it. But yeah, so the Midwest itself constitutes Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. Again, we're kind of basing this off of the Census Bureau's definition. And so that's where that criteria is going to be determined. Cool. Thank you, Connor, for answering that question. Oh, and if you have any other more questions, you can ask us at grant@cameronbosser.com, and we will directly field your questions from there. Ooh, I would also, who has won previously? So our previous winners include, we started this back in 2019. So there's Zach Moore with Patois. That was 2019's winner. That's an amazing short film. I'm not sure if it's publicly released yet, but it is so fun to watch. There's 2020, which was Zero Mile Mark with Link Wolf. 2021. Oh, sorry, I messed up my dates. 2020 was A Nickname by Sean Raju. 2021 was Zero Mile Mark with Link Wolf. Sorry, and then 2022 was Video Funeral by Link Trent. Cool. I also realized one thing that I would love to chat about too is the process for the actual what happens once you become a finalist. So finalists are able to finalists once they're announced, which I believe the date was May 1st. Yep, cool. It was May 1st. Once finalists, thank you. Once finalists have an understanding of the fact that they're going to be presenting, they have the opportunity to create either a pitch deck or a presentation or a video, whatever supportive media really, to go along with that live pitch event that's going to be on the evening of May 18th, and that will be in Chicago. So whoever is the finalist is required to be in person in Chicago for that event. And so and they're also able to have all those supplementary materials. And furthermore, if they wish to present, with another team member rather than just themselves, that's completely welcome too. Last year, we've had 2 teams that presented with both, I believe, a producer and a director combination. Thank you, Connor. Can you tell us who the judges will be? We're still actually finding out who the judges are going to be. So that's an interesting question. We will eventually be releasing them on Instagram. But for the time being, we're still confirming. And we will release that to the public probably sometime in the next month or 2. But yeah, thanks for the question, Willis. I appreciate it. Again, if you're just tuning in, if you have any questions for the Community Builders Grant, please just drop it below. Thank you, Connor. Yes, they are industry professionals from industry professionals from either the Midwest or Chicago. Okay, cool. While we're waiting for audience questions, I think I'm just going to also be reading off questions off the FAQ until we get another comment. So there's a question too of with web series, which we get quite often, if web series qualify. Web series most certainly qualify. The only caveat is that we still want to be able to have that 15-minute requirement. So for example, like if your web series is 5 episodes, but each episode is going to be 3 minutes, then that does qualify. Okay, cool. I also wanted to, before I forget, chat about the finalists' journey from the pitch event. So once the pitch event occurs, all 3 finalists will be taking home some prize to make their films. And the understanding is that we will have a picture-locked cut of your film by the end of the year. So by the end of 2023, we would have a picture-locked cut, as well as we will have an exit survey to be sent out to the finalists, and with the understanding that they'll be able to provide supplementary materials. Oh, and also I just want to clarify, when I say picture-locked, I do also mean, colored, the sound is mixed, etc. Cool, thank you, Connor. Connor is just pointing out the fact that we have time for a few more questions, and we'll be closing the Q&A in about 5 minutes. So, ask away. Yay, okay, big question, I love it. For the 2 years of experience qualifications, does it strictly have to be in the arts/film field? I have over a decade of experience professionally, but I've only recently pivoted into documentary filmmaking last year. Would that disqualify me for applying for this grant? Good question. I think it depends on to what specifically was your previous experience. Like, is it still slightly applicable? Yeah. I would love more details, Ronnie, if that's possible. But I think with that piece too, I would say we leave it to the discretion of the actual applicant themselves. So like if you're pivoting from like finance, for example, and you've had no experience in the filmmaking field, because those fields, from what I know of finance, anyways, sorry, is if finance is very film heavy. But if you're pivoting from a field that's very far away from film, then I would say maybe hold off on applying until you have another year of set experience. You have another year of understanding how the film industry works, how budgets are made, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you are pivoting from a field that's quite similar, like, programming, for example, or, some other form of art, then I would say you would qualify. Hope that was helpful. Cool. And then another thing about the finalists is once you do win, your cash and gear credit is actually going to be distributed in thirds across the board. So a third of it will be picked up right when you win the grant, actually. And then the next third of the grant is going to be received upon gear pickup. And then finally, the final third of the grant is going to be received once the actual final cut is going to be delivered to us. Excuse me. And then also once you do gear pickup, and if you're a winner or a finalist of the Community Builders Grant, we also do ask that you rent from us directly with gear. And if there's gear that we don't necessarily carry in our inventory, we're happy to work with you to source it elsewhere. And then finally, if we, either method doesn't work, and we've had that discussion of like, hey, how can we best serve you? And that means going outside, then we can talk then. Thank you guys so much for coming to the info session, and I hope you have a good night. Take care.